Hey, welcome to the Black Knight Nation podcast. I'm your host, Sal Interdonato. The Black Knight Nation podcast is brought to you by Higher Echelon, a company run by Joe Ross, who's a former Army fullback, former Army assistant coach, former Army officer. Higher Echelon always sponsoring this podcast. We really appreciate it. And we're going to recap Army's 20-3 win over Air Force at Mikey Stadium. And I'm here with Brendan in Jersey. We might be getting Steve Anderson and Seth Mendelson later on in this podcast to join us with their opinions. But for now, you got me and Brendan flying this ship. And, it's an interesting game, Brendan, from the start because there's breaking news, before kickoff about Bryson Daily not being able to play today. Army's starting quarterback, Army's leading rusher, the nation's leading leader in rushing touchdowns entering this week with 19, is not going to play in this game. And I just want to get this out of the way first. There's a lot of stuff that's out there right now about what Bryson is dealing with. I thought something was happening earlier in the week where things just didn't add up, that maybe he wasn't going to play in the game for some reason via injury or what have you. All I can say right now is that it's likely something to do with a foot injury or something to do with his foot. Don't know. Coach Monken during the press conference was asked, if it's a long-term thing, will Bryson, be back this year? And he said that, yeah, Bryson will be back. And he said that he was hoping for next week. Now, there's a lot of times when Coach Monken is asked about injuries and he'll be, I hope, he can play next week. So who knows where we're going to be at next week with the quarterback situation. That'll sort itself out. But just wanted to get that out of the way. Were you at the game, Brendan, today? Were you kind of shocked when you heard the news, or what was your reaction to it?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it wasn't like the worst case scenario. Just in particularly because Air Force is having such a down year, so you kind of felt like, based on what little, because Coleman's got into a bunch of games, as they've been emptying the benches this season. So it's not like he's coming in completely fresh and wide-eyed, although, a hated rival on short notice is a tough way to get your first career start. But, I mean, we've seen this before. I mean, the great team of 96, Rodney Makeda was out for a couple games. Adam Thompson came in and they barely missed a beat. 2018, Kelvin Hopkins missed a game against Miami, and Cam Thomas came in and they didn't drop that game either. So, if you had told me at the beginning of the season, or rather if you had asked me at the beginning of the season, is Bryson gonna start and play every single game, I'd say probably not, just because that's not really how this typically goes. If the breaking news had been like the entire offensive line is out with some flu or whatever, then it's like, okay, then we're really in trouble. But it was an interesting game. It certainly wasn't the kind of stress-free experience I think we were kind of hoping for had Bryson been the starting quarterback. And yet, once again, Army never trailed in the game, led from almost wire to wire because they kicked that field goal pretty early.
Yeah.
And, they were, certainly Air Force was a threat to score at a few points, but hopefully Steve can come on, because I'm sure there's few people in the country who enjoyed this game as much as he did, the way the defense balled out.
Yeah, 6 sacks, 3 interceptions, all in the fourth quarter. When you hear the news that Bryson Daly's going to play, my thought on the sidelines is, okay, this is going to be a game for Kanye Udoh's to have a productive game, a more productive game. He's already had his 100-yard games, but this is the chance for him to be the focus, right? And this is also a chance, hey, this is a defensive game. Like you said, Air Force is a struggling team. The defense can win this game for Army. And the defense did win this game for Army, to a major point. Kanye Udoh won this game for Army. Dwayne Coleman, for a first start, guess what? The most important stat for Dwayne Coleman was what? No turnovers. 0 turnovers in the service
Yeah.
academy game.
Yeah.
That's he managed the game. Yeah, there was a fumble on a snap. He hopped on it. Air Force did not get the ball. And I mean, were we expecting like 100-yard game for Dwayne Coleman? I don't know, but he did a good job managing the game to a point. He didn't get some help in some situations. There were penalties that backed Army up a little bit. I don't know, sometimes where there was maybe a couple motions and stuff, but Monken said he didn't really get some help in the first half. And then what? Second half they go to their bread and butter. Kanye Udoh running the ball up the middle. That the middle of that offensive line did some major damage at the beginning of that third quarter, right? I mean, you had Brady Small and the 2 guards, Katsianis and Generali. They were key in that run. And when you go 65 yards, I think Kanye had 47 or 48 of those 65 yards on the ground, 7 carries, and man, that certainly set the tone. That gave him a 2-score lead. And after that, I mean, I don't know. This Air Force, Brendan, Air Force ran 3 red zone plays today. They were around the red zone. They were a little outside the red zone a couple times, but they ran 3 red zone plays today. They went to a second quarterback late in the game, I guess because they wanted to throw, and it was 2 interceptions out of I don't know how many passes. I mean, they're not a very good team. They've lost their 7th straight game. I think even with a second string quarterback, Army should have probably maybe beat them a little bit, maybe another touchdown here or there, but a win's a win. They're 8-0. There's 12 in a row for Army. 4 out of 5, 4 of the last 5 against Air Force. I think it's 6 out of the last 8 against Air Force. And let's get to a question real quick. Guys, if you have any, please send them in. Regardless of what's going on, he should have been on the sideline encouraging his teammates. I think Bryson Daily, if he could, would have been on the sideline. That's all I'll say on that. I think if he could be there, he would have been there. I asked Coach Monken, he wasn't at the game. Was he on post? He was on post, Monken said. Now you can read that as, was he in his dorm? Was he at Keller Hospital? Who knows? Who knows where he was? I mean, I do know he was active on social media during the game. He did post a couple, like when Max DiDomenico had the interception, he posted something on that. So he was active on social media, but he just wasn't at the game. That's not by Bryson's doing, I don't think. So that's probably a get rest and whatever injury he's going through, whatever illness he's going through, probably doesn't mean he should be on his feet on the sidelines. So, I don't really I appreciate the comment, but I just
I mean, he's the kind of guy, if he could be there, he would, but I think it's safe to say that he was necessarily recuperating.
Yeah, whatever it is. And Monken said, Monken had a comment after the game saying, he really wanted to be there, but he wanted to help the team. But he doesn't realize the impact he's had on the team for the first 7 games. This team is undefeated because of his play, but because of his leadership, because of the belief that this team has that they can win games, win games not only offensively, but defensively. The defense, minus the second half against East Carolina, I mean, they've been pretty incredible this year. Let's get to Mark Moretsky. We appreciate Mark watching us. Yes, of course, he would have been there if he could have. Big time leader. Let's just hope he gets through it quickly. Yep, and Coach Monken said that, he didn't, like I said before, he didn't think that it was something that would keep him out for the rest of the season. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But, actually, I'm going to get to this question. It's actually my daughter's asking this question. I told her she needs to have a question for tonight watching the podcast, and she wants to know, how did you think Dwayne Coleman did today? Do you think he had a good performance or not? And maybe I gave my opinion, Brendan. Maybe you could chime in.
I mean, it's so. I guess it depends on how you want to grade it. If it's like one of those pass-fail things, he passed. If you want to get into more degrees than that, I don't know. I mean, he seemed to have trouble making reads that um, Bryson is fairly successful at making at this point in his career. I mean, I like looking at the game plan. The game plan made perfect sense if Bryson's in there, but I mean, there were times where Coleman really just kind of looked like a deer in the headlights on certain plays, and then other plays it was like, okay, well, he's clearly not the same size as Bryson because he would only get 1 yard where Bryson would get 4 or 5 at least, and those all those little things add up. And as you said, there's probably a few little penalties and snap timing issues and stuff like that. But that's all, it's all symptomatic of having your backup quarterback in there on what apparently was fairly short notice.
Yeah, he said he found out today. I don't know. I can't confirm like when, but it's just here's my thing with him. At the beginning of the game, they ran some QB powers, right? And he tried to he was trying his best to get some yards. He was running tough. He just the air like you said, Bryson Daily's got a little bit more to him a little bit, but he was giving the full effort, Coleman. You can't like I want to note something real quick. I posted it on the Black Knight Nation X account, and if you get a chance, it's like 30 seconds maybe. Kanye Udoh, the press conference of his time was getting ready to wrap up, and he said, "Wait, I want to just add this." And he said how proud he was of Dwayne Coleman, the way he handled himself there. Because I mean, when you look at the stakes here, Brendan, right? They're 7-0. The Commander-in-Chief's trophy is kind of not on the line, but they got to be Air Force to own it, right? Not just to retain it. They got to be Air Force to retain it. This is his first career start. We've seen QBs be thrown into pretty high pressure games. Like last year, you saw Champ Harris going to LSU, right? I mean, different animal. LSU, different opponent than Air Force, 100,000%. But this is there's a lot of pressure in this situation. Coleman said he didn't really feel the pressure. The team believed in him. Talking to Max DiDomenico on the field after the game, he said that they had Coleman's back. They had Coleman. They believe Coleman can get this done. And behind the offensive line and behind Kanye and behind the defense, they got a W. And I guess it doesn't matter if they won by 20, 24 points, 30 points, or, the 17 points that they won by. A win's a win, and they're still undefeated. They're still, we can still talk, some CFP if we want. Hey, the rankings come out on Tuesday, the first rankings. Are we going to see Army in the top 25? Maybe we might.
I hope so.
We probably should. They should be the number 2, group of 5 school behind Boise State, but that'd be interesting to see. Yeah, I give Coleman a lot of credit. If for some reason Bryson can't go on against North Texas next Saturday, he's gonna have more banked reps, game reps, and he said he's gonna go to the film and look over what he did. And I don't know what Brendan. I don't know what you felt like, but after that first half, it's 6-3. I mean, Air Force could have maybe even taken the lead. Army still has not trailed it all season long, which is still incredible to me.
Yeah.
8 games through the season, they're the only team now that hasn't trailed in the game. I'm looking on the sidelines in the first half, and I'm seeing both Cale Helms and both Ethan Washington wearing headsets and wearing colored pennies. And I'm like, man, if you're the number 2 quarterback, I don't know if you're wearing a headset. I don't think you're taking off the headset and the penny and going into the huddle, So this was Dwayne Coleman's game the whole way. This was Dwayne Coleman's game the whole way, no matter what. And I saw, as they're walking to I think Army had it ticket the last drive of the first half. I don't know what was going on there with clock management and everything. but they eventually ran out the clock. And when Dwayne Coleman was running off the field, I saw Jeff Monken kind of give him a pat on the shoulder, almost to say, okay, it's going to be okay, maybe. Maybe I don't know what he said, but I saw Jeff Monken give him a little pat on the shoulder. And so, I mean, they went back to what works for them in the second half, and that was it. I will say that he is Dwayne Coleman is very well respected amongst the team. After the game, I saw Jaden Mays, who still had the tomahawk hatchet thing for his pick. He was a couple defensive guys went up to Dwayne Coleman and like congratulated him or said, "Hey, that good job" and stuff. And look how far he's come, Brendan. Last year, he two freshmen were getting the play over Dwayne Coleman behind Bryson Daily last year. Two guys. One was coming out of high school, and one was a prep school. Champ Harris and Larry Robinson. Dwayne Coleman was number 4 on the depth chart last year, and here he is, a year or more later, leading Army to a victory in a CIC game. I mean, being the starting quarterback in a CIC game. It's quite the jump, quite the story, man.
Yeah, and I mean, you could certainly look at today in a vacuum and be concerned for next week. I mean, I certainly think they're going to have to score more than 20 points to beat North Texas, but if they're able to run him as the number 1 QB all week and build a game plan around him, and if the defense continues to play the way they largely have been playing this season, Army certainly has as much of a shot to win next week as they've had all season. Bryson Daily being in or out. But, I mean, it's, today reminded me a little bit of the COVID season when they played the Citadel. And of course, we had no word of anything. It was just we went into that game blind, and it was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then later it's like, oh well, probably half the team tested for COVID, and they're going against the Citadel first string with their fourth string. That's going to be a challenge, And today, the first string quarterback, announces that he's out, and not announces himself, but it's announced that the first string quarterback isn't playing today, just before the game, and the backup is going in, against a team that knows option football pretty well. That should be another advantage next week. I don't think North Texas is nearly as familiar with the option as Air Force is. So, I mean, the coaches seem satisfied, and the team seems satisfied with Coleman's performance today. So, I mean, if they continue to rally around him heading into next week, then by all means, there's no reason Army can't extend this to 9-0.
Yeah, and we saw this. It wasn't so much option football today, right? I mean, the slot backs didn't get much play. They didn't really try at the outside much, and when they did, they didn't have success. There was, here's my thinking in this game, right? And I gotta get this out because this has been a thought of mine for all week long. In these service academy games, we have to hear how much they're fist fights. We have to hear how much they're slugfest, right? These games do not have to be fist fights and slugfest when you have more talent than the other team. You have more offensive talent than Air Force. Their defense is not very good. What did they give up? 50-something points in the game? Who knows? It's not very good. You can use your offensive talent to your advantage. You don't have to say, well, Air Force, and I've never coached a game in my life, and I just covered Army since 2007 on a regular basis. But I thought this time they wouldn't kind of play down or vanilla their offense up enough when Cody Worley was calling plays. I thought they would be able to take some shots down the field. This is before I found out Bryson Daily was out, but I still thought there was room there to get your playmakers the ball. They got Kanye the ball. Yes, they did. I think 22 times they got him the ball. But Noah Short, I think he had a run. I think he had a catch, and they threw another one to him. But I mean, Tyrell Robinson's still coming back, so Hayden Reed didn't, got a carry or so, but there was ways to. I don't know.
No, I'm with you. I would say today's probably the first time all season I've been even like kind of mildly disappointed with Worley. I felt like, you know, like listen, like if you don't want to risk it, like running option plays that have that pitch
Yeah.
component to it, like I totally understand. But you can still line it up and hand it off to Robinson or Reed or Short or whoever you got back there. And I mean, if the offensive line is playing up to the level that they should be, then you can. Yeah, I mean, I thought they could have definitely scored more than 20 points today, just based on the talent that they have on that side of the ball. Whoever's quarterbacking it.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Reed and Udoh were mostly playing. Udoh were mostly playing the fullback position. Jake Randina did not play, I don't think, today. Did you see him in the game? I didn't see him in the game.
No, I saw him on the sideline, but he never went in.
And coach said that was more of a situational game plan thing, saying after the game, he told us that, maybe the game, they thought they would have more success running. This was a game where Udoh and Reed would have more success running the football than Randina. I don't know. I mean, you could line him up to block for Dwayne Coleman on a power. You could. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, but or just be
have him block for Udoh, like
a decoy or something. I don't know, but that's not me. That's not me to say. I just had another thought in my head. Oh, Coleman lined up in shotgun a lot today, right? Did he even line up under center a lot? I don't remember seeing him in under center too much.
I think other than the final victory formation, the whole day was in shotgun.
So it's not like maybe they just don't run those type of, you're not going to run a pitch play out of the option too often, right? I don't know.
I mean, my question about that is it was probably mostly just like the game plan that they had drawn up, that they were like that. But if it's a case of like you don't trust the guy to go under center, then like why is he the backup quarterback? I don't know.
But when he's coming in the fourth quarter in games, in the third or fourth quarter games, he's run under center stuff, I believe. So
as far as I know, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. But I mean, I just think that you can't play down to the rivalry. You have to play a little up. This is just me. In the past, I just see like, okay, we're prepared for it to be like this fist fight in a phone booth or whatever analogy you want to use, but there's a lot. I mean, I look at a guy like Samari Howard who's made a play here or there. I didn't see Samari Howard today. I mean, they didn't really. I think they were rotating like Reed and Robinson with Stewart and Short. I think I could be wrong at the slot back positions, and I don't know. I just think that there's more out there, and we saw in the second half. Certainly, we saw in the second half it changed a lot, but the first half was hard to watch sometimes on offense because it just seemed like it was just Trey Granati 2 field goals, so that he's up to 5 for 5 this year. I don't think he made all his extra points, I believe, so he's had a really good season so far. And hey, get some more reps, and those kicks could come in handy. Some more kicks like that could come in handy down the road. But they got now 4 more games, and we'll see. We want to talk about defense and just the way they got after the quarterback today? I mean, let's be honest with you. The Air Force quarterback wasn't wasn't Cam Mortar. It wasn't Dylan Gabriel by any means today. I mean, it was an effort to get a complete pass sometimes from those guys.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they were certainly under duress most of the time. Sometimes they found a way out of it. There was, especially as the game became more desperate in the fourth quarter. I mean, they there were some plays that the Army defense probably would like back where
Mm.
the QBs broke contain, but yeah, I mean, I mean, 6 sacks on the day. That's very, that's just like a lot. That means your line's having a lot of success, which they were.
Yeah.
And I mean, three interceptions all in the red zone was just incredible.
Yeah. And you know what? 6 sacks, you don't really see that too often in a service academy game because usually there's a ton more running and throwing the ball, right? And to have 6 sacks in a service academy game, I like to know the last time, if ever, Army had a 6 sack game against Air Force. I don't know. I mean, it had to be something. Yeah, I think it was 1st and 25, and I think the quarterback scrambled for 21 yards or something like that, and that get him in second and manageable. Army gave up its first runs of 20 yards or more today this season. So I think they gave up one, maybe two of those. I know the quarterback had that 21-yard run. So that was the first time they gave up a run of 20 or more yards today. Let's get to this. Mark Moretsky says the fake field goal was he means an unmunkin-like thing to do in an academy game. But I have to say it was a welcome, exciting moment in an otherwise more conservative game. Yeah, it's a 49-yard field goal, 49-yard field goal attempt by Granati. I saw him make kicks from that range in pregame. I would have given it a shot.
I did too. I mean, I saw him kicking from that range at halftime.
I would have gave him a shot. What the heck? I mean, the thing to run that play, Matt Rhodes tossing it to Casey Reynolds in the end zone, it's about a 30-yard pass. Munkin said Rhodes played quarterback in high school. I think he told me he was like the third-string quarterback in high school. I mean, it's not like he was starting games or anything, and he was a really good pitcher in high school too. He has an arm, but
okay, yeah. So he's got a strong arm.
Yeah, he was recruited to play baseball by Army too. But unless that play is wide open, and it was well defensed. It was pretty well defensed. There was a guy in the area from what I could see, what I could remember. And I don't know. And he's just like, I guess, I mean, no harm, no foul. You still, if you miss the field goal, you give them the ball at the 31, right? If you miss on that fake, they're getting the ball in the same, I mean, you're not giving them the ball.
If you get the touchdown there, it's a 3-score game. So, I mean, it would have really put it out of reach for Air Force at that point. But
yeah, you're going for the jugular, I guess, on that play call, right? And he just reached into Sean Saturnio's bag of tricks, and this time it didn't work. Earlier in the season, those plays were working on special teams, but Jaden Mays, Casey Larkin. How about Casey Larkin, right? The one play call on the Air Force sideline, he's called for pass interference. It looked like him and the receiver came to the ball at the same time. I mean, from the press box. I'm not on the field.
One of the worst calls I've ever seen called in a game.
And so let's Google head referee, his name, Mountain West Conference for these games, because I think the way it works is when you're playing, the road team gets the officials. I don't know. I think that's the way it works in the contract. Who knows? But it was Mountain West. He was a Mountain West official, so I think it was a Mountain West crew today. So, I mean, that's certainly a home. That's certainly a Mountain West call there. But what was it? The next play or the next play after Casey Larkin?
Yeah, it wasn't too long after.
Yeah, he comes up with his, I believe, his third pick of the year, and that certainly was a boost, And then the Max DiDomenico interception. I'm sitting behind that end zone. I'm just like, I'm just waiting. Honestly, I'm just waiting for the clock to tick. And I have my phone down. I'm like, wait, all of a sudden Max is intercepting and running. I thought he maybe just pick up a few yards and, that's it. But I got like the tail end of his return on video. He takes it all the way to 25. I mean, that's
I think
it was like 60 something yards. Maybe I could be wrong. It was like
he was directing traffic rather impressively in front of him.
Yeah, watch that play on X if you can go to it, guys. The defense sprinting down the field to block for him, and Deshauntes Gray, a defensive lineman, is still blocking like at the 30-yard line of Air Force, engaging on somebody. That's like wow, that's an effort play to that. I thought he was going to score, to be honest with you, but he kind of got to the left sideline, kind of ran out of real estate a little bit, and went down to 25. Man, if Max would have scored on that play, that would have been really, really incredible, because it was not just it was his effort plus everybody else's, and that's what they did on defense, right? It wasn't one guy, it was multiple guys. Cody Harris Miller had 2 sacks. I think Kyle Lewis had one. Brett Arena had one. I think they shared a sack with El Mendoza and somebody else. I mean, Jack Latour, maybe, if I can remember. But it was like 5 different players involved in sacks, 3 different players involved in interceptions. It would. Justin Weaver, I think, made a tackle for loss early in the game, a cornerback. I mean, it's everybody.
And the thing is, and I mean, this is like such a stark it's such a stark contrast to like what would have happened, in a game 15 years ago for Army compared to now. I mean, when that terrible pass interference call happened, if that's a game 15 years ago, like that turns the game to Air Force, like no question, and they probably go on to win. This, like, to me, that was kind of like not necessarily a turning point, because Army was like, I think, still leading by 10 at that point, but that got the crowd into the game in a way that they really hadn't been, and they were kind of like at that pitch, at least from where I was sitting, really for the rest of the fourth quarter, and certainly helped the defense out. I think Air Force had I don't know, a couple of false starts or close to it, or they were certainly like. I don't think they were prepared for that level of noise in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
to be coming at them, which was a lot of fun. I mean, that was ultimately like what made. I mean, as frustrating a game as it may have been at times, like that fourth quarter was super entertaining for me.
It was
to be there as a fan.
It was. You got your money's worth, no doubt. Even though when I was walking down, like halfway through the fourth quarter, I saw a lot of people leaving. I don't know, a certain amount of people leaving. Really want to get into it. I think we did get into this a little bit, but Kanye Udoh, right? Talked about his comment about Dwayne Coleman during the press conference. He said during the press conference too, he had some talks with Bryson Daily early in the week. And he said that, we got you. And he felt that he had to fill Bryson Daly's shoes today. And he certainly did that, right? And I'm thinking about the one pass play too, where I think Coleman completed a pass to Casey Reynolds. I could be wrong on the receiver. There was a blitzer coming in from the edge, and Kanye picked him up. And if Kanye doesn't pick him up, it's going to be a sack. And I think that was the drive where Army scored its first field goal, I think. And I'm like, this guy is doing everything. He's your leading rusher. He's blocking when asked upon. When Bryson Daly's scoring touchdowns, he's sometimes throwing one of the key blocks on the play. I mean, I can't say enough about his all-around play. And I just said, when it came to his comment about Dwayne Coleman, I said, great player, better teammate. And this year, I mean, he's doing everything. And if Bryson comes back, which Coach Munkin says he will, you're going to probably have 2,000-yard rushers on the team. And you're going to probably have 2 guys with double-digit touchdowns in the backfield too. I think it's been a while for that. And I just want to salute Kanye today, because, I mean, he showed that today he's one of the best players, not only on Army, but maybe in the AAC, when it comes to like what the value of what he means to the team. And it's not just, I don't know if, the 2 touchdowns he scored, he pretty much to a point was untouched, pretty much was untouched. I mean, it's different. He's just different. And maybe why we're talking about why I bring this up, Brendan, you can go back a little bit. Army's had some pretty good running backs, right? They've
Oh
had some
yeah.
pretty good B backs, and they've had some pretty good all around backs. He reminds me a lot of Ray Maples, but he may be better than Ray Maples. I'm just gonna say, Ray Maples was an all around guy, right? Ray Maples had a lot of just like physical ability. When I think his freshman year, sophomore year, he was definitely making an impact. And he reminds me a lot. Ray Maples had a chance. He tried out with the Packers, I believe, if my memory's serving me right. But I don't know where. We have these conversations where do you see stack up, but he's rising up the charts in my opinion as running backs, definitely in the Monken era, and maybe in the last 20 or so years.
Yeah, I mean, just to throw the comparison of what he did last year, and I mean, he didn't start all 12 games last year, but so last year, 99 carries for 525 yards and 1 touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
This season, 93 carries, 633 yards and 7 touchdowns. So that's already like so much increased value. Just in the stat book. I mean, to say nothing of the leadership, and he's only a sophomore. So I mean,
Yeah.
God willing, he still has 2 more years with the program. I mean, I don't know like the all-time rushing list off the top of my head, but he could certainly, do some damage there.
Yeah, Mike Mayweather is going to probably be the all-time Army rusher for forever. But I mean, just to have like what he's up to, I think 1,400 and change now in his career, and he's still got five games left at least in this year, maybe 6. So who knows? But I just want to I'm really impressed every time he plays. I'm just really impressed by him, and I think that I don't know. Did I hear something about the coaches challenging him or something like that to even be better this year or be a more complete back this year? Guess what? Challenge accepted. Challenge passed. I mean, the guy is a great football player, and Army is. I'm going to say this right now. Army's lucky to have him. Army's lucky to have him, and it seems like he really loves being on the team, and you could tell today just in the press conference. Man, it's just good to see. Let's see. Let's go to Mark Moretsky's comments here. He said that the team is so complete and prepared that when he saw his son Quinn's text at 3 a.m. that Bryson was out, he lives in Hawaii, so it's different. The times are different. He fell right back to sleep for another hour and a half and slept like a baby. This is a comment that I wanted to get into a little bit. On another note, scores around the AAC show that Army's wins aren't as weak as they first looked, like Rice beating Navy at halftime, the way Army's wins speak loudly at this point. The AAC is not a great conference. It's just not. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's just not. I mean, today showed something with UTSA knocking off Memphis, right? UTSA, didn't they lose a big lead last week to Tulsa? They were up 35-7 and lost to Tulsa. And this week they come back and beat Memphis. I don't know. I mean, but Rice is not a good team. Maybe they're better at home. Maybe they're a better home team. The fact that they're beating Navy at halftime maybe has a little bit to do with they're at home and there was a lightning delay. They're playing the game at 4. That they're still playing. It's halftime of this game. The game was due to start at 4. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and they have VJ Warner too, who when he was at Temple last year cut up Navy pretty bad. So
okay, so maybe he has a. There you go. He didn't do much against Army, but I mean,
no, not much at all.
And I don't like to It's hard to do the common opponents thing, right? I mean, it's just like, okay, well, Army trashed Rice at home, and now Rice is beating Navy, up at halftime, and it's like, so that means, I mean, right now, I just, and what are we going to compare? Like Navy's Notre Dame score to Army's Notre Dame score when Army plays Notre Dame in a couple weeks. I don't know, man. I prefer not to. Yeah, the Mob had a big game today. The offensive line had a really good game today. I think he had a penalty here and there that wasn't really necessary, but I mean, I don't know. I think we had some unsportsmanlike. I don't know. I don't know. I just remember hearing something. Yeah. Pretty good. 20-3 win over Army. If you have any more comments for us, we'll take them. If you want to chime in on Bryson Daily or just what happened in the game, we'll take them. We got a couple more minutes here left. It looks like Steve and Seth aren't going to make it here tonight, Brendan. It looks like we took care of this.
You do what you can.
Yeah, we got to do what we got to do. We just thought it was best to come on tonight, fresh after the game, to talk about this. Man, I'm trying to think of anything else. That UTSA win over Memphis. I mean, even though I don't think, I think the AAC was contacted or something about this. If Army beats North Texas next week, do they clinch a berth in the AAC championship game? I'm not sure they do, just because everybody else's game's behind. Everybody else's. We'll have to see what happens there. But, I mean, certainly that UTSA win over Memphis helps, because now Memphis has 2 losses, And say Navy doesn't rally over Rice. That's 1 loss for Navy in the conference. And then they play Tulane. Navy plays Tulane still. So say Tulane wins, then that's 2 losses for Navy. Say Navy beats Tulane, then they both have a loss. Who knows? I mean, I don't think you can decide it when teams still have to play 3 conference games. So Army keep taking care of business. We'll see what happens during the week. We'll see if Bryson Daily can return. We'll see if it's Dwayne Coleman. Army's offense got to pick it up a little bit. Against North Texas, that's Chandler Morris, I believe, their quarterback, right, for North Texas. I think he's the quarterback there. He throws 400 yards a game. 400 games seem like a norm for him. So, they're going to have to tighten it up on defense, like they've been playing all year long, and the offense has got to be a little bit more put a little bit more points on the board. But I mean, it's still like a service academy game. Like, it means so much, right? And now they 1 down, 1 to go in the Commander-in-Chief's trophy tournament, whatever you want to call it, to capture it again or keep it again. But there's still so much out there for Army, right? I mean, there's still, the conference game before Navy, the conference games before Navy. There's still the chance of playing the conference championship. There's still Notre Dame out there. There's just so much out there.
I mean, whatever happens with Notre Dame, I mean, the story, kind of like the storybook season would be for Army to host Tulane in the AAC championship, because Tulane, I think, is only one of 2 teams that Monken has faced more than once and has not registered a win against.
Huh.
I think the other is Troy. There might be another one that I'm forgetting, but I think it's primarily Tulane and Troy. And of course, Tulane now has Troy's coach from the past couple years. Yeah. So that would be sort of like the ultimate, like storybook ending for the year, is to like finally conquer that giant. And I mean, if they could, if they end up hosting the AAC championship, that would be wild. I hope it happens.
Yeah, in December, and then that would erase it. If Tulane got in over Navy, that would erase the back-to-back games against Navy. And then if they were to win the conference championship, then it's like, we'll see. I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe I think I saw a flyer about the Independence Bowl on my laptop left today. I didn't even have time to even acknowledge. It was crazy day. I didn't even have time to acknowledge it. I've been writing for AP too, so and then when the Bryson Daily story breaks, they want something on that, writing game stories for that, and I see like an Independence Bowl flyer on my laptop, either during the game or not. So
I mean, I think technically that is their contracted bowl for this
I
season.
know,
Still,
I know, Brendan. Let's hope they win the AC. I don't know. With all due respect to the Independence Bowl, I mean, I'll probably get flagged or something for
yeah.
saying it, but
No disrespect to Shreveport, although that would also be another kind of like addition to the storybook is going back to the Independence Bowl and getting a win this time, which the '96 team couldn't do. Although I like all I really hope for, like I don't really care where Army goes for a bowl game, like it doesn't really matter to me. I just hope they get a quality opponent.
yeah. And they usually try to get them like at least a Power 4 now team, whether it be the middle of the road or maybe a notch below.
And I mean the past couple times they've gone, they've played a Power 14 because 2021 was against Mizzou, and then before that, West Virginia. After after like however long it was. I mean, it felt like a month in the desert. It was probably only like a few days of searching for an opponent. But man, the
getting
end of
a bid
2020
first, and then
that was so wild. But that's also why I'll always have a soft spot for West Virginia for stepping up to play them when literally nobody else in the country wanted to.
Yeah, no doubt. Neil Brown, I think their coach is. Shout out.
Yeah, you're right.
Shout out to him. I mean, I guess we're just about ready to wrap it up. I mean, we pretty much analyzed everything pretty much possible. You got any closing thoughts or something maybe you want to talk about that we didn't get to?
James Wagenseller had another good game, definitely better than his last game. Where he did shank one. Today he had 3 punts. All of them look good. I mean, dropped one right inside the 10 that I think Air Force couldn't even really field. So
yeah, I think it went out of bounds. Maybe.
Yeah. It's like Army's obviously a team that never wants to punt, but it's always good to have that safety valve that you can count on if you need to. So
yeah, and again, I think another big story of this game. Yeah, you had Daily out, Coleman in. You had Kanye with a big game. You had the defense doing their thing, 6 sacks and 3 picks. But I'll say it to the base. If the Cows are coming home, I'll say it. No turnovers. They still have only turned the ball over once in 8 games this year.
Wild.
That is, to me, that's incredible. That is incredible. They have to lead. I gotta think they gotta be high in the country in turnover margin. Because now they got 3 more today, didn't give it up. And man, that's a recipe for winning. You don't turn the ball over. I think Air Force had like 107 yards, say, on the ground. Nothing crazy. Only like 92 through the air. You win the running game, you stop the run, and you don't turn the ball over. That's always Monken's recipes or rules for success, and you do your job. And so the Army did their job today. 20-3 over Air Force. 1-7 for the Zoomies. 8-0 for the Black Knights. They're going to North Texas next Saturday. 7:30 game. I thought is it a night game? I thought I saw a night game.
No, I think it's like 3.
Oh, it might be like an afternoon game. Okay, like a 3.
Yeah, I unfortunately am not going to be able to see it live at all, which is sad. I have an event that day. I just can't do it.
Yeah, 3:30 game. You're right.
Yeah.
So
I was hoping for a night kickoff because then I could have watched it. But
yeah, we may be out there. I'm not sure. Seth Mendelson may go to the game. We'll see what happens. Certainly an undefeated team. Certainly they're going to move up in the rankings. I see there's some shuffling in the top 25 a little bit with some teams going down. Now there's only a handful of undefeated teams left. Maybe it's 5 or 6. And so it keeps on there. The number keeps on going down, but Army keeps on staying in and keeping their name in the conversation. It's still in the top news. You see without their starting quarterback, Army defeats number 21. Army defeats Air Force on the ticker on ESPN. So I saw highlights, during the ESPN, saw Kanye all over the place on that, and
Yeah.
good news for Army. No doubt, great day, great win for the Black Knights today, and we'll see you. We'll see you next weekend for the North Texas recap. Maybe we'll get another podcast in here with Steve and Seth. We'll see soon for you guys. Maybe get their takes on where Army is right now. But for now, real quick, guys, an update. Unfortunately, our website is down right now. We're trying to get it back up. I don't have a timetable for that. But for now, we're trying to fill you up with our YouTube channel. Check out our YouTube channel, Black Knight Nation. We're up to 991 subscribers or something like that. We're under 10 to get to 1,000. Please check that out if you want to subscribe. I'll be loading up the press conferences later on tonight, and I have some quick also some stuff up there. Check out our Instagram. Check out our Black Knight Nation X account, and check out me on Twitter too. And also give Brendan a shout out on the X. Brendan, you're Brendan in Jersey on the X, right?
I am.
He's dropping knowledge. He's dropping some history. He's dropping takes. Give him a follow. You can give me a follow if you want. That's always appreciated. But guys, thanks so much for taking the time to watch us tonight, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, beat North Texas any way you can.